My name is Mustafa Wajid and I am the CEO of the Meher Group based in Bangalore. We are primarily a power engineering and power electronic enterprise with different companies engaged in these fields. I also chair the IET Communities Committees for South Asia and hence I have been involved in the organizing of this particular IoT Congress and a member of the organizing committee. Having said that, the first question that you have asked me is about what is the value chain of IoT. I think the value chain is yet to be formed completely. Number one. Number two is that I think there are going to be a multiplicity of value chains because IoT is a phenomenon, it's not really a technology. It will change many things in the way we lead our lives. It will impinge upon businesses, it will impinge upon service delivery. For example, today all of us use a telephone to order a taxi. That's a classic example of how IoT can change things. And it was not feasible a few years ago. The IoT impact, I think, will be felt very early. The early adopters will probably be manufacturing and service companies. I think healthcare can undergo a dramatic transformation with IoT. Particularly in the context of our country where a very large part of the population is underserved in healthcare terms. We can bring to the table with the IoT technologies a very different way of service delivery in the healthcare domain, thereby impacting a very large cross-section of people. I think the IoT is also relevant in commerce because traditionally commerce is driven by the amount of interaction that happens between people, production of agricultural produce, production of manufactured goods and delivery of services. You will see that as we go forward, the IoT will impact each of those sectors and will therefore have actually the ability to boost the economic output across societies, and it is in this context very important in India particularly because I think that this can actually increase our GDP if applied properly. And to cut a long answer short, there are multiple value chains. Impact can be increased GDP, better delivery of services, more attention to things like healthcare, which are underserved today in large parts of the country. Can improve the quality of life in many ways. This is as far as the value chain is concerned. Technology-wise, elements of the IoT have always been around. Sensors are not new, for example. But the fact that sensors were not used very much in the past was also partly because of the very high cost of sensing. Today, because a large variety of industries, including the automobile industry, use such a large quantity of sensors, the price of sensors or the affordability of sensors has improved dramatically. The cost of electronics has come down significantly. And if you look at microprocessors or chipsets, in comparison to 10 or 15 years ago, you will find that today it's far more affordable. It's not only applicable in some very sophisticated environment. The smartphones have again changed the cost of not only sensors but the cost of a lot of other processing electronics, as we call them, because these smartphones are made now in billions of pieces and volumes have therefore driven prices down. So the different elements of IoT which have been around in isolation. It's just like to compare the internet. The internet was used by people like NASA and the US Armed Forces even as early as the 1960s. But it never became available for public use because of a variety of reasons. The computing or the digital age fundamentally changed that. The personal computer was an important step in that direction. Today we use the internet without thinking about it because it's available on our phone and mobile devices, etc. So I think elements of the IoT have been around. The difference is that today's affordability levels have changed. Technology levels have advanced to make the usable technologies more cost effective and actually being able to deliver more for less. And what has happened today is that there is ability to create new business models around this digital platform or digital ecosystem over which the IoT layer can be applied, and hence a lot of new applications will emerge. One can always ask the question, why could we not order a smartphone, a taxi on our smartphone in 2008? After all, the smartphone was there, the internet was there, but the car had to get connected, the driver had to get connected. That happened maybe about 3-4 years ago. We must remember that companies like Uber are not that old. Who started this movement of shared rights, for example. So I would look at it more as a coming of age of technology that was around. Far better affordability now. Technology able to deliver much more for less. And some very intelligent creation of business models which are able to create new value for society, consumers, industry and businesses at large. Yeah, the industrial Internet of Things is something that is a very machine-to-machine centric sort of approach. Fundamentally, there are three things which concern industry irrespective of where you are in the globe. One is productivity. I wouldn't call it efficiency nowadays because it's a question of how much productivity you get for every dollar spent in the manufacturing. The second thing would be consistency of quality. We have seen that technologies of the past, while they have definitely improved quality, have not been immune to aberrations. Everybody can recollect how many million cars have been recalled in the last 5 years by various automobile manufacturers, all of whom have superlative quality standards. So the question then arises, why are you doing a recall? Sometimes it's for a seat belt, sometimes it's for a switch, sometimes it's for a braking system, and so on. I have had the personal experience of sending my vehicle to the manufacturer who did a free changeover because there was a problem with it. So the IoT actually enables a complete paradigm shift in the way that you can check quality and reliability, because you can actually keep track of every piece of asset throughout its life cycle. And the amount of information that you get from that can actually help you to go back into your manufacturing, design and all other systems of the organization and make the appropriate changes to elevate them. So productivity improvement, quality improvement is one thing. Obviously there is going to be a race. Companies would want to deploy IoT technologies across various aspects of their business in manufacturing so that they can keep a step ahead of their rivals. There is no end to this kind of a race. Some people will do it better than others and they will thrive more. The ground reality is that we must realize that even the IT spend globally, in the next 5-6 years, almost half of the IT spend will be on IoT. And this is a big, huge shift. It's going to impact the IT industry in many ways, which everybody is trying to understand. Some of them have already done so and taking steps. Some are trying to get to grips with it. So the reality is that in manufacturing, you will look at productivity improvements, quality improvements, and improvements or differentiation in value delivery to your customer. Life cycle is the fourth aspect of it. A lot of manufacturing industry improvements can happen if you can track assets throughout their life cycle. An extreme case in point is Rolls-Royce, which tracks the Trent engine which is used on the Airbus A380 24/7 all through its life, including in flight. And this has resulted in them improving the engine, improving the safety, improving the reliability, improving the quality. This is an extreme example, of course. One can probably afford to do this in aero engines. It's not very easily possible in some other things, but we are heading for a situation where the more the number of connected devices, the cheaper it's going to get. And therefore, manufacturing industry is looking forward to productivity improvements, quality improvements, differentiation in the marketplace, and tracking life cycle of their products, and therefore using that data to finally improve returns to shareholders. I believe that the future of IoT is different in different societies. In the developed part of the world, where you have median incomes of more than $15,000 per capita, I think the impact is going to be contextually very different. But I would rather take, being an Indian, I tend to take India-centric viewpoints in most discussions. So I believe that the IoT has a great advantage of enabling our country to leapfrog over many legacy issues and actually improve the level of GDP in this country, improve the quality of life of the citizens, be it in healthcare, be it smart cities, be it whatever, across the spectrum. We must remember that in our country, most people in our country went from no phone to mobile phone. That's the kind of transition that IoT can bring in the next phase of the digital revolution. There are, of course, technical people like me can always tend to differentiate between digital and IoT. But broadly speaking, this is a large digital economy. There are different facets of it. It's a bit like a Rubik's Cube. IoT is one face of it. There are other faces of the digital economy. Bottom line, IoT can help to transform India. That is one of the reasons I came up with, in my welcome address today in the Congress, I said, as engineers we say Internet of Things, but as Indians I'd like to say India of Tomorrow. Thank you.